Morning to our persons on live stream as well as on Zoom. We welcome you here to our annual congregational meeting. Okay. In case some of you don't know, for those of you online, my name is Shane Supol and I'm the current chair here at Westminster United Church. Special thanks to all of you joining us from the 3 different media platforms for your love, care, and attention as exemplified over the last year and with your presence here today. Your willingness to participate in our annual congregational meeting, thanks and welcome. Before we move any further, I just want to confirm that we do have quorum based on the numbers of attendees in person, online, on Zoom, as well as live stream. So I'm just confirming that. I'm just going to pass it right over to Reverend Michelle to start the meeting.
So we begin our time together with an opening prayer and a time of remembrance. So I invite you to pray with me. Let's pray. God of all, source of life and love, we come to you today asking for your guidance, your wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion. Allow us to grow closer as a group as we nurture the bonds of community. We pray that you fill us with your grace as we share the work we've accomplished and the work to be done ahead. Remind us that all we do here today and every day is because we seek to love you, God, with all our heart, our strength, mind, and soul. And we seek to love our neighbor as ourselves. May this be so, we pray in Jesus' name. Amen. When we gather, we are mindful of this community of faith as it has been in years past, the journey that we've made and where we are now. And we remember those who are no longer with us. And we light a candle of love and memory. Maybe you have a candle, those of you who are joining us online at home. Whether you are at home or receiving the light here in the sanctuary, we do honor the cloud of witnesses that is always with us. The memory is a treasure. We remember those too who have been in our community who have died that perhaps we didn't know personally, but to whom our congregation ministered to in some way. Some of you also are remembering birthdays or anniversaries of loved ones that you have lost. This light is for them too. Sylvia Dunstan wrote a hymn that's in our hymn books called Those Hearts That We Have Treasured. From hearts that we have treasured, from lives that we have shared, from loves that walked beside us, from friends for whom we've cared, we've learned to treasure kindness. We've learned that grace provides. We've learned to be together. We've learned that love abides. I invite you to hold a time of silence as we lift up names of those that we've lost in the past year. Jesus said, I am the resurrection and the life. Those who believe in me, even though they die, will live, and everyone who lives and believes in me will never die. We remember Wanda Pitchforth, Bob Brimacombe, Shirley Whiteside, Joyce Freckleton, Tom Nixon, Geraldine Horwood, Catherine Ward, Murray Forbes, Margaret Hamer, Anna McCulka, Dennis Monroe, Doris Stewart, Warren Lesser, Margaret Kelly, Janie McEachen, Bob Johnston, Betty Woodside, Barry Nibbs, and we hold in heart and prayer those we've lost in the last month: Millie Harding, Dwayne Pitchforth, and Janice Evans. Living God, by whose love we are united with one another across the boundaries of time and space, bring us to a new remembrance of your love and life, reflected in earth and sky and in the great cloud of witnesses we remember. Amen. Some of you in your annual report, depending on the version that you have, some names were missing from our in memoriam list. The correct list is online currently, so we make sure that all the names are in our annual report. Thanks.
Okay. You guys can hear me online. I suspect they can. I'm just going to go through voting and voting privileges. There are 3 platforms we're using here today for the votes to be recognized. The persons that are on Zoom, if you are going to be voting, I recommend that you put yourself on picture so we can see when you vote, with your hands up, thumbs up. If you're voting against, thumbs down, or you can abstain if you want. Hopefully we can hear you. For the persons on live stream, we would like you to type off to the side of your screen whether you're voting for, yay or nay, as the case might be. Over to my right here, we've got Ava, who is monitoring the live stream. Next to Ava is Margaret. She's monitoring the Zoom, watching to see if people, if they're putting their hands up, if they've got questions, that sort of thing. So we're trying to accommodate everyone here. And finally, the persons in the sanctuary. We want to thank you for being here in person. And you got to put your hand up if you want to say yes, or if you don't want to say yes, you can raise your hand up and abstain. Let us know, please. We have to be patient because there is a time lag between the time questions are asked. And if for the persons that are on Zoom, we may have to repeat the questions. For the persons that are on live stream, Ava will tell me, Mr. James has a question. We will repeat the question and we will address the question at that point in time. So please be patient as we work these 3 different media platforms. The secretary and the chair will monitor the in-person votes, and also Kathy Chuenka, who is in the back, will be watching in person also to see if we're missing any votes, that sort of thing. I'm gonna ask Kathy Chuenka to make a motion about the voting. So Kathy, did you want to? You can use the mic in the center there.
Testing, can you hear? Okay, I'd like to make a motion that with the consent of the full members of Westminster United Church, adherents of the church will be permitted to vote on all matters.
I need a second for that motion. Seconded. I saw a hand go up in the back. Thank you very much, Brian. You've got that?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Any questions or concerns? Any discussion about the voting privileges? Any online? Okay. So by a show of hands, could we show that we agree with the motion, that motion is passed? Could I see hands, please, in here? It's unanimous here. Anything online that I should pay attention to? We're okay? Okay, so that motion is passed. Thank you very much, Kathy. So I need a motion to nominate a chairperson for the meeting.
I would like to nominate Joanne McPherson to be the chairperson for today's meeting.
I need a second for that motion. Thank you, Bob Dingman, for a second. Any discussion, any more nominations? Seeing that there are no more nominations, could I have a show of hands approving that Joanne McPherson be the chairperson for this meeting? Okay. Any against, any abstentions? Online, are we good? Thank you very much. So please welcome Joanne. Where is Joanne? They're up to. And Joanne's going to take the meeting from here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shane. Hi, everybody. I'm not coming to you from my dining room this year, and so I've put on the appropriate pants and I've come to church. And you could all be happy of that. I would say, if you are coming up to speak or make a motion, if you can say your name for the minutes, because especially if we have masks on, we haven't seen everybody for a while, we may not know who you are. You probably look a lot younger than you did before. So, so our next item is to nominate a secretary for the meeting. Ava?
My name's Ava Tomlinson, and I nominate Katie Bonikowski to act as secretary for the meeting.
Can I have a seconder? Ron Modem? Okay. Would anybody else like to run to be the secretary for the meeting? No? No discussion? All those in favor?
There's a question over here.
Yes? Okay, we'll hang on for the question. We might need to bring Margaret up here for musical interludes.
Mary Shepherd, did you still have a question? Was this your question? No? Okay.
Okay, no question.
Okay,
Okay, sorry.
so we all voted, right? We all vote on Katie?
I didn't. No,
Okay, we didn't
vote.
vote yet. Okay, sorry. Okay, all those in favor of Katie being secretary for the meeting? And we're good online? Opposed? Welcome, Katie. Okay, we're at number 7. Our item is to accept the agenda as you have it for the meeting. Could I have someone to make a motion to accept the agenda? Dan Yurkevich? And a seconder? Maisie Morrison? Any discussion about the agenda? We're okay online? Okay. All those in favor of the agenda? Okay, you guys opposed? Okay, we're good online? Okay. So our next item is to accept the minutes of the February 26th, 2021 annual meeting.
28. 28.
Oh, it was February 28th? Oh, sorry, I have 26 on here, your notes. Last year's annual meeting. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes? Heather Von Zuben? A seconder? Debbie Joyce? Any discussion about the minutes from last year? Any things to add? We're good? All those in favor? Opposed? We're good? Okay, I'm going to turn us over to Reverend Michelle for her comments.
Great. No worry. Thanks. I always need to stand for my notes. Thanks. So we had another interesting year, didn't we? And I guess throughout the centuries, from the early church through to now, like customs and patterns of worship have changed, and we've certainly seen those changes in fast form over the last 2 years. Yeah, boy, have we seen that. All the good and the challenges that come with that. Adapting as we've had to, it has been a gift, truly a gift, to witness your creativity, your resiliency, your flexibility, all that you embody as Westminster United Church. It really, truly has been a gift. Things haven't been perfect, but we have tried to be faithful. And I think that we have really been faithful. And we have been able to stay connected during an uncertain time, reaching out to others. There are people who are not in this area geographically, but who are still part of this community of faith. We continue to celebrate our diversity, our mutual responsibility, and God's presence among us. Paul Pearson recently sent me a blog piece by someone named Carrie Newolf, who writes about church leadership. And in it, he was talking about the attitude that we bring to what we do in our life as a church, and how that attitude really matters a great deal. For instance, do we think can or can't? Henry Ford said, whether you believe you can or believe you can't, you're right. And I've been grateful again this year that when we have been faced with questions on whether or not we can do something, we look first at the ways to make it happen rather than the list of reasons we can't. Another thing he lifts up is, do we think them or do we think us? And I really see just how Westminster is committed to looking outward, to consider the needs of the community and our world. You see that in the work of, well, throughout the church, and you consider, climate disruption mitigation committee, outreach initiatives, including our pantry, the food bank, the multi-church partnership that is Bridge to a New Home, the UCW and catering group, Parish Mosaic, how we continue to educate ourselves on justice initiatives while living this caring welcome, trying to make that intentional and public and explicit. Wellness, about caring for others, worship, reaching out to others, Christian education, communications, so many examples. Another thing he asked was, a church is proactive or reactive? And we see a lot of that proactive spirit here, looking ahead, like what could we be doing and what do we need to be thinking about? And where's the spirit moving us so that we have, we're not constantly reacting, but there's intentionality around it. So you've got the property committee and trustees who are taking amazing care of resources we have, thinking ahead for what we will need. We've got stewardship and finance, resourcing the ministry through time, talent, financial resources, how it can bring us together. Communications keeps us all in the loop. And you know that we work together on a mission and vision. Well, I don't know what you call that. Sort of that. That was one thing that we entered into to be intentional about who we were and where we were going, being proactive. It's something that came out of congregational participation in this season of prayerful discernment. And we had the season of service come out of that, some more small groups. We had changes in office admin job descriptions. So what was discerned there, what you discerned with the Spirit has given us direction. And that document has not been put on a shelf. It is being referred to, lived into, and tried. You read my report in the annual meeting, you'll see that, my heart's just full of gratitude. There are so many names to lift up, and really it's all of you. But I want to give thanks to fellow staff who are just amazing to work with and so good to be part of the team. Kathy, Amy, Renelle, Margaret, Reverend Dan, thanks for your support. And Sarah, our MTS student, it's just been a joy to have you as part of the team. Shane and council, Katie and Monica, Paul and Clarence and our tech teams that make all this amazing stuff possible. Like, what are we doing today? Person, Zooming, YouTubing, like, committee chairs and our committees and our volunteers, the people who are giving, you know, supporting the ministry of Westminster that we share together. So that's all of you. I want you to know that I work really hard as your minister. Your entire staff team does. I know that you work hard too, which is good because we need your presence and your abilities, your energy and your creativity. We need that can-do spirit. And God's mission really needs the church. So thank you for being Christ Church. I love you very much. Thank you for the privilege of being in ministry with and among you. And I want to share this video that Amy put together for us that just highlights some pictures from the past year.
Thank you, Michelle. It's great to see those pictures and remember all the things that have happened this year. I'm going to call on Kathy Shaw now to speak to us.
At home? Oh, I got my microphone on all of a sudden. Friends, well, first of all, I just want to say thank you, Michelle. I love following you because you just thank everybody and do everything, and you take everything, all my words out of my mouth. So, thank you. But yeah, exactly, teamwork, right? But no, I do agree with everything that Michelle says, and in looking at that beautiful video and the pictures that we've captured so much of last year. I'm always, what is that phrase that a picture is worth 1,000 words? In this case and in this place, I think it's worth way more than 1,000 words. What happens here is just a blessing, really. That's what it boils down to. I know 9 years ago, I came here as somebody who was hurting, somebody who was not sure about life, and my husband had just passed. And I was taken into this incredible place, and I was led here, no doubt in my mind, by God and by powers way bigger than myself. And so, in that time, how wonderful it has been to be able to journey with you. And I say that in my report, and I mean every word of it, because I've been in different churches, I've been in different places, but I have never in my life experienced what I experienced here. And I don't know necessarily what the magic secret is with all of you, but there is something. And I have to tell you that I was speaking with my aunt yesterday and telling her that this place, the people in this place, they are a blessing, but they are also blessed, and they come together, and you come together, and you make things happen. And I've never been in a place where the attitude has always been, oh, let's just do it. Let's just try it. We don't know how to do live stream. We won't let that stop us. We don't know how to put a Sunday school onto online, but we won't let that stop us either. And it's not done by just one person. It's done by many. And I cannot thank you enough for allowing me to journey with you, to be in a leadership role with the most amazing staff team that I could ever imagine and ask for. As Michelle said, all of you, all the committee leads and all of you out there who just give of yourself every single day and have that can-do attitude. Let's just get this done. And so I don't know that you know how special that is, how truly special that is. It doesn't happen in every place. It doesn't happen in every church. I wish it did, but it doesn't. But it happens here. And so please, as we celebrate and as we go through this meeting, and as we look forward to this next coming year, as we celebrate last year, please know how important you are and what you do. It matters. It matters. And because you know what? You are living out Christ's message in this world. And hallelujah for that. Thank you, friends, for everything.
Thank you, Kathy, and for sharing your special talents with us as well. I'm going to now ask Margaret to speak with us.
Okay.
That's what I do. That's what I do behind stands. This one works. It's wonderful. Good afternoon, everybody. So mine's a little different here. So I spend time each day thinking about 5-letter words. I haven't done it yet today. I often wake up thinking about 5-letter words. I go to bed thinking about 5-letter words. I ponder them over my coffee. I
No.
ponder them when I'm driving somewhere. I don't know if any of you have this strange condition as well. Yes, with the laughter, I think that's that you probably do. That's very comforting. So what's rattling around my head? Well, I often think of solos. And I think of choir. And I think of the 32 dedicated people who have in one way or another participated in our music ministry this past year. There are too many to name, but I wish to show our appreciation to all who sang to an empty sanctuary and for the congregation online. That's for you. I would also like to acknowledge that Bonnie Beer retired from the choir last year after many dedicated years. And I thank Bonnie for sharing her gift of music with us. I think of piano. And I think of organ. And I think of how I enjoy my role to serve through music each Sunday. I hope that in some way it may touch you and bless you. I think of drama and youth and young adults who so eagerly rehearsed and presented our Christmas Eve family service. I think of dance and Emma Collins' inspiring talents. I think of staff that I work with, Reverend Michelle, Kathy, Amy, Renelle, and the huge community of busy, faithful volunteers here at Westminster. So with our faith in Jesus, our trust in God, we continue to bring a light to our community. So solos, choir, piano, organ, enjoy, serve, music, touch, bless, drama, youth, dance, staff, faith, trust, Jesus, light. These are some of the 5-letter words rattling around my head. Peace.
Thank you, Margaret. You've given me new words to try now that I never thought of. Sure. Is that better? Can you hear now? Testing. I could say some 5-letter words. Voice. Good. Okay. Well, Shane, I don't know how you're going to follow those magnificent women, but you can give it a try.
I don't need a podium. First of all, thanks again to everyone for coming out today online as well as in person here. I want to thank everyone for their support. Reverend Michelle, Kathy, Margaret has already identified staff. I want to say a special thank you to all the staff that has supported and continue to support all the programs we have here at this church, right? Council members and committee members. I want to thank you very much for working twice as hard this year because, you know, we hear the term, I'm zoomed out, right? We hear that a lot these days because we're always on a Zoom meeting somewhere. I want to thank the committee members for logging on, for getting on there. We're learning technology. You know, I'm going to tell you, I work with a seniors organization in Scarborough, and they had to learn technology this past year, 2 years. And it is amazing how much people have picked up the technology. So I want to thank everyone online as well as here for participating in the technology, allowing us to bring all the programs that we can to everyone out there. I want to thank Amy for the presentation, the digital work being done here today, the digital work that you see online, not WhatsApp, what's the other one we use? Instagram. See, we have so many social programs, you know, Instagram, Facebook, you know, we're getting out there. And it's important because I consider our church to be a hybrid church. We're doing it in person and online, which reaches out a bigger population. To everyone on the platform, we want to thank you very much for logging in here today. Thank you very much, and ensuring that we are a community that will continue to serve where we worship and where we live. I want to say a special thank you to Paul. Thank you. And I get emotional sometimes. My wife, for the support that she has given me this year. Being chair of council, I was not prepared for it, especially in a digital world. It's been challenging. When Margaret was chair of council, she used to always be at the church. And people call and ask for her at home. I said, she's at the church. Now I have no excuse. Now I'm in the basement. Most of you guys know if you've been in meetings, I'm in the basement and she's upstairs. I've been banished to the basement with my computer. So just want to let you know that. To the Return to Church Committee, I want to give them a special mention. They have worked really hard to ensure that we worship in a safe environment, that we are able to do our programs in a safe environment. So to Tom and that committee, special mention. I want to thank you very much. I can't go on much longer because I'll be here for the rest of the afternoon. So I'm going to finish there for the time being. I'm going to ask Madam Chair, could I come back in before we close one more time?
Well, you didn't make that amendment to the agenda, but I will let you do that.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. So thank you, everyone, friends, for coming out today. Thanks for the support that you continue to give to the Westminster United Church. We are a blessed congregation. Thank you.
Okay, Monica, I will turn things over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I like playing Wordle too. I love 5-letter words, but my job here has to do with numbers. So I'm going to shift focus away from words to numbers. So we're going to review the 2021 results and then also take a look at the 2022 forecast and 2023 preliminary. All right, next slide, please. Okay, so I just want to highlight here, this is the statement of operations of our local fund. So we've pulled out the pantry offerings and expenditures. They are not part of this particular report anymore because we've been experiencing extremely generous financial donations to the pantry. And so we're keeping those surplus funds separate from the local funds. So there was also an adjustment then to the forecast, pulling out the pantry there. So in terms of local fund, receipts and revenues were $22,000 higher than originally forecast. And that is in part due to higher in memoriams and stock donations, and also higher than expected rental revenues. And then on the expenditure side, we had $22,000 lower than original forecast, and that's due to savings in salaries and benefits, and also in property. So the local fund operating deficit for the year, so that's the total receipts and revenues and then less the expenditures for the year, it was $18,000 deficit versus a forecast deficit of $62,000. So you can see we came in much stronger than we had originally expected. So that is something to give thanks and celebrate. Next slide, please. Sorry. So yes, so I want to point out, is that, sorry. can we go to the next slide first? Or I think you may have jumped a slide. There we go, allocation of available funds. Thank you. Okay, so the allocation of available funds. So we started 2021 with about $270,000 in available funds. And throughout the year, there was, we received an additional $20,000 from the government as a loan. And we also received $3,500 towards a capital fund. And then, other receipts and expenditures. And so we ended the year with available funds of about $278,000. And that's actually about $100,000 higher than what we had at the end of 2019. So from a cash flow perspective, we're actually much stronger than we were before the pandemic. Okay, next slide. Okay, so this is where I want to highlight this new capital fund. So we are looking, or property has been working on developing a project for the HVAC, replacing our HVAC, and this is a very big project. And you'll see it when we talk about the 2022 forecast. But I wanted to mention it here because you saw that we did receive a generous donation in 2021. And so this capital fund represents contributions received for capital projects, including but not limited to the HVAC project, replacement project. Any surplus funds in this account may be transferred to the local fund contingent upon approval for Westminster's council. So the reason we're setting it up this way is we don't want to get into a situation like many other churches where they have funds, but they are restricted. And they don't actually need those funds for that particular purpose anymore because things have changed and they could actually use those funds, say, for ministry purposes or something. But because they are locked in a restricted fund, they can't actually access those funds. So what we're trying to do here is just make sure that in case things change or in case we receive more funds than what we need for any capital project, which is highly unlikely. But it's just to give us a level of comfort that we would be able to use those funds if we ever needed to. Okay, next slide. And then long-term liabilities, just to give a quick update, our mortgage payable to the United Church of Canada as at the end of 2021 is $353,000. We continue to pay that down every month. And as I mentioned earlier, in 2021, we received an additional $20,000 from the government. So in total, we've received $60,000. If we pay that back to the government by the end of 2023, they will actually forgive $20,000 of those 60. And then we do also have an operating line of credit, which we have not used at this point, but it's there in case we ever did need to. So that's just to draw your attention to the long-term liabilities side of things. So I think that's all I have for the 2021 financials. So of course, these are the internal reports. Later, we'll also just briefly touch on the external 2021 financials, which were prepared by the accountants. And that's what gets used to file to Revenue Canada. This, what we've just looked at now, is for our internal purposes. So I think someone needs to make a motion.
Question. Do we have any questions for Monica on the 2021 report? Online? No. Okay, go ahead.
I don't make the motion.
Oh, motion next. Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Margaret. Can I have a seconder for that motion? Ryan? Any discussion? Online, anything, guys? Okay. All those in favor of the motion? Okay. Anyone against? That's carried. Okay, now you're gonna go
Okay.
2022, right?
So next, I'd like to review the 2022 forecast. Okay, so here I'd like to point out that total revenues are similar to the 2021 actuals. Something to point out is that the donation side of things, we've sort of kept on the lower end because of course this is something that we really don't know. So it is lower than what we saw come in previous years, but that's to be on the conservative side. And then the net fundraising you'll see is substantially higher than it has been during the pandemic. And this is because you know, now that restrictions are loosening, lifting, we are working very hard in stewardship and across all committees really to put together a strong fundraising plan for this year. So that's why that is much higher than we've seen in the past. So together though, the total revenues look to be about the same as where we've been in the last year. And then on the expense side of things, we're projecting about $50,000 higher than the 2021 actuals, and that's due to higher salaries and benefits and property expenses. Last year, there was some savings on the salary side of things because we had some volunteers in the office throughout the year. So that's part of that as well there. And then the operating deficit for the year 2022, we're looking at a deficit of about $76,000. And this is coincidentally similar to the original 2021 forecast. But you'll recall that we actually came in at $29,000 before the $11,000 wage subsidy. There isn't that wage subsidy for us this year. So all that to say that yes, it's a big deficit, but it's in line with where we've been in the past, and it's really possible that it will come in to be much smaller actually, because we've been very conservative with the numbers. And then we also want to look a little bit further ahead, not just for the next year. So we've prepared a 2023 preliminary, and that is projecting an operating deficit of $50,000, which will be reduced by $20,000 from the forgivable portion of the government loan. And then the other thing I just wanted to draw your attention to is if you look back at 2020, we ended the year 2020 with a surplus of $58,000. So if we look really at the combination of 2020 and 2021, it more than offsets the deficit that we saw in 2021, and then in 2022, like I said, it is possible that deficit will actually come in much smaller. Time will tell. And then if we can look at the next slide. So this is where we are projecting the available funds to be at the end of 2022, would be $216,000. And you can see that includes a goal of increasing our capital fund by $20,000. And then at the end of 2023, our available funds will be reduced to $140,000, and that's because we'll have paid back $40,000 of the government loan, and we'll also have been using some of the contingency funds for day-to-day operations. So we have the finances to get us through the next 2 years, and again, like I said, from a cash flow perspective, we're in a very good position. Any questions?
Nothing? Online?
Oh,
Oh,
Crystal has a question.
Crystal Smith, I just want to say Monica does a fabulous job. Needs recognized. free, you understand. You call her up and ask her, or email her. She responds right away, gives you your answers very quickly and accurately. So really appreciate it.
Thank you, Crystal. It's a pleasure. I enjoy doing it, and I know, or I feel sometimes I bombard people with way too many numbers, so I do apologize. But it's, yes, it's an honor to be able to do this together. So thank you.
Anything else for Monica? Margaret, I think you have a motion.
I will motion to accept the 2022 forecast as presented.
Can I have a seconder for that motion? Maureen Dingman. Discussion?
Does this amount include the M&S?
Yes, sorry, and as I'm sitting here now, I'm realizing that I forgot to highlight that in my spoken words, but I believe it was up on the screen. Maybe we can quickly go back to the very first statement, to the forecast, the statement of operations. So that would be the second last slide. Thank you, Reverend Dan, for bringing that up. I did mean to mention that, and I forgot. So yes, so included in the 2022 forecast, so the parts that have the yellow highlighting, that's the local fund. But then yes, we also need to consider M&S offerings. So we've set a goal of $25,000, and that's in line with what we saw last year. And then the pantry, we've set a goal, or there has been set a goal of $10,000 in financial donations and a forecasted expenditure of $18,000, and that's using some of the surplus funds that we have for the pantry from the previous 2 years. And also the capital fund, I did touch on that we have a goal of $20,000 in 2022, and actually that's, for the next 5 years that we have that goal. So again, yes, to answer Reverend Dan's question, yes, voting on this will include the goal for M&S of $25,000.
Another
Okay,
question? Yep.
so the question is, the $25,000 goal is below what we raised this year. I don't see that as a positive thing to do. I think we should have a goal that's at least somewhat higher than what we raised last year for M&S. So I could suggest an amount, or you could just think about that, but I would amend it to say that we choose at least $26,000 as a goal for M&S.
Are you making a motion?
Yes.
Okay, so there's a motion up to make the M&S $26,000? That's your motion? Yeah, okay. Can I have a seconder for that motion? Eileen?
So the thing with M&S is that it's a goal, right? Like, we're not saying that let me rephrase that. So whatever offerings are received by Westminster earmarked for M&S, that's what gets dispersed over to the United Church of Canada. And so the goal, what we're saying is, like, this is what we as a congregation would like to work towards. And if more were to come in, more would be dispersed to the United Church of Canada. So there is that to keep in mind.
Okay, so we have a motion to change that to $26,000. Is there any other discussion about that? So we can vote on that, this motion before the one to accept the budget, right? Okay. So we're going to vote on the motion to increase M&S from $25,000 to $26,000. So all in favor of that? Okay. Online? Majority in favor? Okay, opposed? Okay. So that motion is carried. So we're going to amend the 2022 budget to include M&S at $26,000. So now we can vote on the motion to accept the 2022 budget as presented.
As
With
presented
the amendment, sorry,
yes.
with the amendment for M&S. Is that what you're going to say to us, Mark? Okay.
I move to accept the 2022 forecast as presented with the amendments mentioned.
Okay, can I have a seconder to that motion then? Maureen Dingman again, okay? Any discussion? All those in favor? And online, we're good? You're looking? Okay, opposed? Okay, carry. Thank you to Monica and my sentiments as well to what a great job you do at this.
Move into the, do I stay here?
Are you on the annual report?
I think so.
Okay. So our next item, we're at number 14, is to accept the 2021 annual report as printed.
The draft, so they are draft. It's the 2021.
Oh, okay. I don't have that in my notes. So sorry.
So it's the 2021 draft financial statements. These are prepared by our accounting firm, and they are prepared in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles, which is what is required when we submit annually to CRA. So these financial statements are considered external statements. They will not entirely match what I've reported to you internally, just because there are certain different rules for how to account for certain things externally versus how we look at them internally. So I just want to point that out. But yes, so in order for the accountants to issue finalized statements, we all need to vote on accepting the draft version that is included in the annual report.
So Monica, are you making the motion that we accept the
Yes.
draft
I
statement?
would like to make that motion.
Okay, and do we have a seconder for that motion then? Ron Modem? Any discussion? Any questions online there? Good. All those in favor of that motion? Opposed? Okay, that's carried. Thank you. Thank you, Monica. So we're now moving on to the 2021 annual report, and I'll just say myself, I cannot believe that we have an 81-page annual report in a pandemic. I opened this up at home and I went to hit print, and then it came up and said 81 pages, and I thought, I don't think I have enough ink for this. So I think it's amazing, all the work that has still continued to go on here for, even though we've had to pivot. I know you love that word, Paul, many times. And just, I'll say myself, for the activities that are near and dear to me, the support for things like the pantry and the hampers and so many outreach activities. I'm blown away by this congregation, both who show up and provide financial assistance. It does not go unnoticed, and know that you have helped a lot of people in this past year. So a motion to accept the 2021 annual report, all 81 pages as printed. Paul, you make that motion?
Before I make the motion, I'd like to pass on thanks to all those who correlated the annual report. It has a new look and feel this year, and I know that took a lot of effort. I'd name the people, but I probably forget somebody. So to put 81 pages together is no small feat. And so thank you very much for all the editors, the designers and the printers or copying machine broke down, but that's a different story. So anyway, I'd like to make a motion to accept the 2021 annual report as published.
A seconder for that? Heather Von Zuben? Discussion? All those in favor?
I have a question.
Who is that?
It's Gail Brimbacom.
Hi, Gail.
Hello.
Go ahead.
I just have a little, can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay, I just have a small question, and that is that the annual report that I received, I don't believe is the same as the one that is now on our website. And I haven't had a chance to look at the one on the website, so I just wonder if anyone could explain the differences between what is on the website and what was sent out to us.
The difference between this.
She cut out, there's some amendments in there.
Okay, so I think she's wanting to know the amendments, what one we're voting on then.
No, it's not the amendments. I'm just saying, Reverend Michelle mentioned at the beginning.
1 second.
Sorry, Gail, we're not hearing you.
Oh, okay.
There, that's better.
Okay. The question is that the annual report that is now on our website has some additions to it that are not in the annual report that we received. And I'm just wondering if, before we vote on it, shouldn't we know what those changes are?
Can I address that?
Sure.
Yes.
Thank you very much for your question, Gail. Yes, I'm trying to put the annual report together. As so mentioned, it was 81 pages, and a couple of things were missed, and I was going to address that, but I'm glad you asked the question. So, one, obviously, the accepted forecast for 2022 is now changed by $1,000. That's one thing with mission and service, but more importantly, the names that Reverend Michelle mentioned earlier on of members of the church that have passed on, inadvertently, some of it were missed. We are correcting the online version. So if you have a printed version that you printed before yesterday, kindly, you may need to replace that page, 1. 2, on page 71, which is the list of committee members. We had a couple of corrections there also, which we realized once it was put up. Amy has so graciously just also changed that, and some of the committee members have been added and taken off, as the case might be. So again, my apologies. We do spend a lot of time trying to ensure that the information that is put out there is correct. However, we do miss occasionally. So my sincerest apologies. Gail, does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you, Shane.
Thank you very much.
Do we want to make that?
Yeah. So
move the
since I'm,
report that's online?
yes. So it is the report that is online that we are accepting, because we can also go in and change the mission and service on there to reflect 26,000. So we're in a digital world, so it's easy to go in and change it. So Amy will update that, and
Already updated.
And therefore, when you go online on Monday, you will have a proper annual report with all the amendments. Am I good for that?
Yeah, is that okay?
Anyone has any
So
questions?
Paul, your motion will make that it will be the, as seen online, that report?
I would amend my motion to say to accept the 2021 annual report along with the amendments that were discussed here today.
Right.
And I would give Amy till Wednesday or Thursday to get it
Wednesday,
updated.
Sorry.
Don't say Monday morning. So the amendments mainly around financials, I heard, and names for people that passed, as well as committee chairs are the 3 areas that were discussed or are changing, correct?
Okay.
Yes.
So I'll accept the 2021 report with amendments around people who have passed, the financial changes, and the committee
Council,
structure.
council committee.
Committee structure.
Okay. Heather, were you the seconder on that? You're still a seconder? Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor? Good. Opposed? That is passed as well. Thank you. Thank you, Gail, for clarifying. And Shane, I'm going to send over to you now nominating report.
Yes, and that comes back to what I just said about the Westminster. First of all, there, it says on page 71, at the top, it says Westminster 2021, it should be 2022. The changes, and we're going to have a motion to this at, just after I'm done here presenting this. Larry Morrow name is being removed on the trustees. Under Christian education, it's no longer, it's not vacant. Heather Breslow is now the chair of Christian education. Those are the three changes, and Paul Pearson's name is coming off the top of the sheet just below Katie Bonakowski as past council chair. So those are the three changes that are going to appear by about Wednesday or Thursday on the final report that's coming out. So, oh yes, and Jim Fielder, I just got reminded, Jim only joined the property last a week ago officially, so Jim Fielder will be included on the property.
That page is actually done on this
Okay,
printed at
you've got
one.
a
A current,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, I printed this one as soon as it came out, so I, you know, yeah.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
and that's the challenge sometimes when you're dealing with printed as compared to digital. Digital is so easy to change. So again, we thank you very much for your patience for that. So can I have a motion to accept the amended council and committee report?
Well, you can make, can you make the motion?
I made the motion.
You're making the
I'm
motion
making
to
the motion,
accept.
yeah.
So I need a seconder for that. Bob Digman. Any discussion? This is where I'm saying any more nominees, right? Any more nominees, right? Yeah. So any other nominees for our council? Lock the doors. This is your chance. If you didn't get that phone call and there's something that you would like to do, this is where you can nominate yourself or stand up, and if there's something else that you would like to experience at Westminster. Anybody else? Okay. We are closed, but you can still join at any time. You know that, right? And so all those in favor of the motion for the council as will be printed, will be online, sorry, okay. Opposed? Thank you. So that is carried. So next we have up a trustee item. We have a resignation of a trustee, and I think Katie has a letter to read, right?
Yes. We all set, Heather?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. In an email sent to Ron Modem, Chair of Trustees, Larry Morrow said, "Hi, Ron. This email will confirm that I am resigning as a trustee effective August 1st, 2021. This step is necessary as our family is moving to London. I wish you and the trustees every success in your future endeavors."
Yes, we, Larry, of course, everybody knows that Larry and Tina have moved to London. And so he obviously submitted his resignation, but we certainly have appreciated all both of them have done to our congregation for so many years. And they certainly are missed. I'd like to make a motion that we would accept the resignation of Larry Morrow as trustee.
A seconder for that motion? Fitzmorrison? Thank you. And so everyone can, because we had the motion in the beginning that adherents can vote, everyone can vote on this motion about the trustee as well. Any discussion? No. Any, all those in favor of the motion? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Shane, I'm going to go back to you for a moment.
Yeah. I didn't do everything that I wanted to do when I got the opportunity earlier on. So I want to thank a few people, and I'm going to ask Margaret here to run around. Okay. As a small token of our appreciation for some, and please, we couldn't buy 500 flowers. So we only bought a fair chunk. But anyway, so I had a list here, and I must have, oh my gosh, what did I do with it? Isn't this funny? I had the
Margaret
list.
probably knows it.
She's got the list. I had the list. You know, I came prepared to answer a lot of questions. I came prepared to answer about climate disruption. I came prepared to answer about mission and vision. I came prepared to answer about the Constitution, because I was warned that questions can come up, you know, and as chair, I should have the answers ready, you know. So I came prepared because I've also brought last year's minutes, you know, and now I can't find the sheet. No, it was right here. Okay, we've got the list. Yes, so in no particular order, just a small token of my appreciation for your support. I'm going to start with Reverend Michelle. Here we go. Kathy Shaw. I'm trying to make sure. I don't know what I did with the list. I had it.
You'll find it when you go home.
You'll find it.
Isn't this nice? Oh, here it is. Because when Monica was going through the budget, I was paying attention just in case people had questions. And it's right where the budget was, you know. So, and this wasn't included in the budget, by the way. So we've got Reverend Kathy Shaw, Katie Bonakowski for being, for accepting the responsibility of being secretary while I chair. Margaret Modem for the 5-letter words. Modem, that's right. Get it? You guys didn't get that one, did you? One's going to go to Ronell. We'll get that to him. To Monica, one to Monica. Monica, you do, and Crystal said it very nicely today. Thank you very much, Crystal. You do an amazing job. So thank you. To King, I want to compliment King. King is the co-chair of property, and King had taken on that responsibility. He didn't want to take it on, and I twisted his arm and I said, you need to get in there. So King, I want to thank you for your support. Thank you very much. There's two gentlemen at the back sitting behind those computers there. They have really kept us connected. Would you guys give it up for Paul and Clarence? You know, sometimes I think they live here, you know, because I said to Margaret this morning on the way driving in, I says, I guarantee you. She says, why are we going so early to the church? I says, we're not going early. Paul and Clarence are going to be there before us. So said, so done. There we go. That was given to you guys for two reasons, okay? For you to take care of it. Like you take care of the stuff here that you're thank you. Joanne, I want to thank you very much for so graciously agreeing to be the chair of this meeting with a little arm twisting.
Thank you.
And Amy is in the office. I want to thank Amy. She put a lot of work. Amy did a lot of work putting that our annual report together. So we will take that over to Amy when we're done. So that's the persons I want to thank very much. A couple other things I want to mention. It was mentioned earlier because we're closing off now. Mission and vision. Mission and vision does not only belong to the council, it belongs to everyone in this congregation. When we adopted that a year ago, I made the promise that we live by it and we work with it. And CDMC, that report was adopted back in January by council. It was an input from all the committees. We have to take care of the planet. So please pay attention to those two reports as we go through this year. I want to thank everyone for coming out. I think I've said enough. So did I have to look to my assistant over there. I want to thank everyone. So I'm going to pass it back to the chair. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Shane, and thank you, Shane, for all the work that you have done in this first year of doing council chair. Not an easy task either. So thanks to Shane as well. Any other business that we need to discuss? Anything from anyone? Well, I know I will get this easily. Can I have a motion to adjourn? Monica. And with that, we don't need a seconder. Do we vote on it?
No.
Vote.
No.
And that's as it is. Thank you. So I will give us to Michelle for a closing prayer.
Sure. I actually invite you to stand with me as you're able. Holy God, thank you so much for so many things. Grateful for this time together, for the work that you give us to do, for the Spirit that accompanies us, for Christ who shows us the way. We ask that you uphold us as we continue to live into being your community of faith, your people. May we reach out always beyond these walls. Be with each one of us as we move from this time together to continue our worship and service throughout the week. Keep our eyes open, our ears tuned to your call, our hands ready to serve, our hearts tender. God, we pray all of this in your strong name. Amen.
Thank you again, everyone, for participating, for showing up on all the ways that we did this. And yay, we did something new again. So continue.
Thank you very much. Now. Thank you. What? Thank you, Shane. That was fantastic. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.